Hey y'all, it's your girl Stephanie of the Hardy Wrestling Podcast and Steph and Cat Talk Wow. And I wanted to come on and give my respects to Trey D, also known as Terry Davis of We Love Wrestling, the founder and content creator for We Love Wrestling. He passed on this week, and I wanted to give my respect and love towards anyone who was closest to him and every wrestler that has ever been loved by him or supported by him in this wrestling space. He was a pioneer in this space that I was lucky to have shared space with in different media events and stuff. And the one thing that I loved about him is the fact that he was always present for those he supported in and out of wrestling throughout all over the country. And that is the type of support that you just don't find a lot. And I am really grateful for his spirit and I'm grateful for his pioneering um, soul within this space for opening doors for people like me in the very beginning. And as long as wrestling stays around, his spirit will always be remembered. And he was such an amazing advocate for women's wrestling as a man, and it was such a very powerful thing to see during a time, or at least during times of which lots of men don't freely express their love for women's wrestling. He was doing that, and I will always be grateful for sharing space with this man. And I hope that his family will rest in knowing that the love that they shared with him will carry them throughout the rest of their lives and on into eternity. So we here at Steph and Cat Talk Wow and In Cat We Trust and the Hardy Wrestling Podcast as a whole um, seek to shine a light on him and to express our gratefulness for him in this wrestling space. We love you, Terry, and may you rest. This is Steph and Cat Talk Wow.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Making her way to the mic. They start dimming the lights. You start feeling alright. From Birmingham, home of the Teddy Longs and the Ruben Studders. More once you discover. For all of the lovers, Whitney Houston and Roman Reigns. For all of the lovers, and Mickey James and Marvin Gaye. For all of the lovers, and Sasha Banks, Janelle Monáe, Silk, Sonic, and Paige. Allow me to say, look, I just found a place, sweet escape. Every one of us, I was kinda late, so I just made it off the struggle bus. Walking by the faith, cause I know it's right in front of us. Yo, I ain't with the hate, gotta focus on what.
Hey y'all. Welcome to Steph and Cat Talk Wow, brought to you by the Hardy Wrestling Podcast and In Cat We Trust. Of course, I'm your girl Stephanie Hardy. This is my first time on camera like all week. Wow. Um um host and creator of the Hardy Wrestling Podcast, writer for Daily DDT, and color commentator feature on the Belladonna Division, Battle Club Pro, Black Girl Magic 2022, and Spartan Wrestling. And of course, I'm not alone. I am here with my tag team partner, the illustrious, the amazing Katrina Blake of In Cat We Trust, creator of that beautiful platform, writer for Daily DDT and other platforms as well, and just an all around savant of wrestling media and correspondence as a whole. How are you, Katrina?
That's so sweet. I am okay. I'm a little tired from today and yesterday as I worked the show yesterday. But I am all right. How are you?
I'm doing all right, all things considered. My God. Like I said earlier, this is my first time on camera since a whole bunch of other stuff happened, but I am grateful to be here because, this is all I know at this point and this is what I love and I'm just so happy to be on here to talk about women of wrestling and the amount of growth that they have had over the past couple of weeks and these last few episodes. And I know we've been off because life has been lifing, but we are just trying to keep it as consistent and as amazing as possible as these women continue to show themselves to be amazing week in and week out. And we are so sorry for all the reschedulings, but either way, that's just how life is. You just have to move stuff around. And here we are to talk about those episodes. So I am doing okay and I feel pretty resilient being right here, right now on this Saturday evening. And for those who are watching us on the live feed, wherever you're watching, be it Twitter/X, on YouTube, Facebook, or anywhere else, thank you guys so much for watching us and supporting us, whether it be via live or later on after we go live. Thank you so much for supporting the show and supporting what we're about here on the show and all of the above. So, with that being said, let's get into some wow news. Something that did happen over the weekend that I did see was Crush in a life development for her. She is now engaged to an OVW wrestler whose name is escaping me right now, but she did announce that she is engaged. So congratulations to them and their engagement. He's a very handsome guy. For I am just so happy that she has found this level of happiness in her life. They're an amazing couple. I was not able to get a picture in my haste of moving around today, but I am just really happy that they are engaged and she is set to get married to her person. So that's just great. So, Katrina, how did you feel about this wow news involving Crush, who has such a tough exterior, but deep down inside, she's a loving person, and now she's got her soulmate.
Well, I did not know that. So that is some new. I'm learning the news as the audience is learning the news. But congratulations, Crush, or I don't know if people know like Amberly, um, her shoot name. Congrats. I think that's super awesome that in this crazy world of life that we have, you were able to find somebody that you want to share more time with. I feel, or share your life with, and so congratulations. That's really super awesome.
Yeah, and they look like, they're such an amazing couple. Like if you follow them on social media, like they be working out together and all of the things, they seem like they really sharpen each other. And I'm just really glad that that happens. When you have someone who supports you in that way and you guys are sort of in the same industry because he's a wrestler, she's a wrestler now, they just seem to be on one accord with each other. And I'm just so glad that they have that and now they're gonna get married. That's an amazing thing. So congratulations to Crush, who we will talk about a little bit more in this show because Miss Ma'am has, a lot of attitude going on. But either way, in real life though, she has love and that's great. So yeah, that's really it for Wow News per se. So now we're gonna get into these past two episodes that have aired. Of course, we see Eric in the comments, of course, posted up before we even go live on YouTube, saying cheers to April being the new Black History Month, um, as we crown many champions in this great month of wrestling. Yes, we have great champions. We even have a Black female TBS champion, the second one ever in Willow Nightingale over in AEW. So, congratulations to her. She's someone that we have worked with in the past, and I am just so thrilled for her having this moment in her career. It's really great stuff. And then there are other champions too. Of course, you have Becky Lynch, who became the new women's world champion this past Monday on Raw in a very amazing battle royal that main evented Raw. So that was really great. There were all kinds of signs up that were in the affirmative for women in wrestling, like one that says "Women run the WWE." It was just so amazing. So we just have all kinds of amazing stuff going on. So big ups to everybody. WWE has a draft. Bianca Belair was number one in that draft. Like, hello, like that's amazing. Like, women are continuing to push the envelope forward, and it is such a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful thing. So, thank you, Eric, for chiming in with that as we get into WoW. So, Katrina, how have you felt about these last two episodes before we fully get into them?
Oh no, I thought they were good episodes. There were some more story development, which is always good, and we got to in particular for one of the episodes, I believe the friend to foe one. There's been a lot that has happened with that dynamic, as well as even as we you just mentioned Crush, but her as well as kind of being kind of a pivotal piece of how that story's kind of played out. So I thought it was, good stuff that we got for both episodes. And I even know it feels weird because technically the episode for this week is at least I believe it aired for you already. It hasn't for me yet, but yeah, so you're right behind, guys. Sorry, just life left. Life left real hard this week. But yeah, I thought it was solid stuff with both episodes.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, oh my gosh, like there was such solid stuff. And yes, the newest episode of WoW has aired for me, but I was not able to watch it seeing as I was at work. So I will be watching it later on, maybe tomorrow or earlier in the week, so we can, reschedule ourselves and reallocate the show for our WoW Wednesdays. But these episodes have been quite fantastic. So we're going to get into them right now. So the first episode we're going to recap was from 2 weekends ago, the weekend after WrestleMania. And it started with an entrance from WoW World Champion Abilene Maverick. And she was going to guest commentate for the very first match. And they showed a recap of the Beast and Abilene Maverick in their title match, where, of course, the brass knuckles shenanigans took place. And then, of course, they reviewed the tape, which showed Abilene Maverick pulling the knuckles out of her knee pad, therefore not incriminating the Beast and, not having her be the one that was accused of using the brass knuckles. Because, of course, we know that Miss Ma'am doesn't need to do that. So, match number one turned out to be Goldie Collins versus the Beast. And of course, they kept billing this as a match with people using animal instincts, of course, because Goldie Collins is the best in show with her dog Alexander and the trophies that she's won with him. And then you have the Beast, who isn't exactly an animal, but really can run through you like, a crazy person. So this match was pretty good for the most part. I won't say it was one-sided, when it came to the Beast, because of course, there is a distinct size difference between the two. But Goldie Collins wound up, rising to the occasion of fighting someone like the Beast in a really great way. And here again, I'm more and more impressed by how good she is, as someone who only just started wrestling last year. She definitely gave the Beast a lot, not really a whole lot to handle, but at the same time still gave her a good bit to handle. And I really appreciated it. And of course, Abilene Maverick was out there to try to distract the Beast by holding the title up and, messing with her and trying to antagonize her, saying, "This is my title." But the Beast wasn't having it. And Goldie kept trying to take advantage of it with that strategy by knocking her down and basically even suplexing her at one point. Like, that was really surprising. I was like, "Goldie, where you get the strength from, girl?" Like, it was really crazy. But ultimately the Beast wound up winning with her Beast Bomb. After being distracted for a short period of time, she hit the Beast Bomb in order to win that match. And the Beast used that to make a statement at Abilene Maverick and pointed to her and said, "That title is mine." And Abilene here again was looking like she was above it all, but we all know that deep down inside, she really might have been scared. So the Beast wound up winning this match in pretty dominant fashion, and it's pretty clear that she wants to come after the title that she never lost. So, Katrina, how did you feel about this match between Goldie and the Beast, and just all the craziness going on with them, with her wanting to come after the Wild World title, and how Abilene likes to play with her?
Um, I'm okay with. I understand her her reasoning for kind of having to go after the title. Again, she didn't lose it, and I feel like I've said this so many times, so I'm gonna say it again. Um, I do not think Abilene should be champion. I don't. I feel like David McLane, knowing that she was BSing previously, that this is something like you need to like. She shouldn't have all these like opportunities to do shenanigans. This is an issue, you a little bit more than I did, but this is the issue we've had with the Fab Four and how they were able to kind of do things and get all these passes or get all these situations where it was basically beneficial for them rather than maybe their opponents or something. And so in this situation, I don't even understand why we're still even like why has there have been nothing, even the fact that she like lied and cheated. There should have been a actual repercussion for that, I think, and there's been none. So of course, if you have, you did something and you might have been like, okay, it didn't work out as long as you wanted to, but what was the punishment? What was the consequence for the nonsense? There was none. And so I can understand why, the Beast is like over it. I can understand why the Beast wants to like get the title back. She didn't lose it. As far as Goldie, I will give Goldie that. She definitely, put up a little bit more in a fight than I thought she would. And this is just not even shade to her necessarily. It's more so just you do see the Beast being able to kind of dominate through people for the most part. And so I was like, all right, Goldie, I'll give you this. You definitely didn't like run and you didn't like give up necessarily, and that's always a good thing. But I can definitely understand the Beast's frustration. It's like you keep trying to get yourself back to where you never really should have, you not should have, but that you never technically lost, and then it feels like there's always some kind of weird block in the way from making that happen. And so I can understand her frustrations. I would be frustrated if this was me. I don't know if I would be as nice, so if I have to like take like David, gonna have to have like a little chat, like let's hear David, something. She's still behaving a lot nicer than I probably would in this scenario, knowing everything that's happened and knowing that it's like this Abilene's able to basically accuse me of one thing and basically there's no consequence for it. Um, but this was a good match. I did enjoy it, and I definitely kudos to Cody because I was like, all right, girly, I'll give you that. For somebody who's just starting and you take it on somebody like the Beast, that's a lot. But you did it. You didn't win, but you did it, and I can respect that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I definitely feel you on not being, as nice about the situation because the Beast, she just wants one thing and she wants her title back. But I'm more than sure that she has to be exhausted with having to jump through so many hoops in order to get there. And something that frustrates me is just like when people I feel like this is low key on some deep stuff. This is like the story of the Black woman as a whole. Um how people just try to make you jump through 50 11 hoops in order to get what's rightfully yours when another person hasn't had to go through as much in order to get what they actually get the exact same goal. And I just feel like they're just making the Beast, go through all these crazy things. And you have Abilene Maverick who just darts in and out of situations and just, you know, she's so opportunistic. And it's just like, ma'am, like you're doing all of this and you're making yourself out to be this dominant champion when deep down inside you just, use the opportunities that are placed in front of you and use like other beefs of people that people are having, which we will get to a little bit later on in the show, and holding on to the title in that way. And it's just really frustrating. So hopefully, you would think that someone like the Beast who has so much force behind her and has so much power would, just run up on David and just be like, nah, like you really need to give me this opportunity and stop playing these games. But she's trying to do it the right way, and I can definitely commend her for that. So, David did say that she has to have a rematch because we definitely know for sure now that the Beast didn't cheat and didn't use those brass knuckles. So it's gonna happen, but I feel like Abilene just keeps trying to come up with hoop after hoop in order to make the Beast wait, to prolong the inevitable. And it's just not fair. But either way, she's gonna get what's coming to her, and I can't wait for it to happen. In the comments, we have Charmaine watching, saying hi to you, Katrina. So I just wanted to highlight that a little bit. Hey, Charmaine, thank you for watching. So yeah, she's gonna get what's coming to her, and I can't wait for the satisfaction that I'm going to see on your face, Kat, when it happens. It's gonna be cool. So moving into match number 2, we had Genesis versus Steffi Slays, the WoW OG. And surprisingly enough, but not surprising at the same time, Genesis came out by herself, no exile, but yet she still had the exile on her gear. But she fought against Steffi Slays, who came out in kind of an upgraded version of her regular purple gear, except now it was purple and white, and she had a sparkly jacket on, which I definitely love and appreciate because I love extra fashion, and that was just really cute. And Steffi Slays really came out here to, further prove herself, in this match. She fought valiantly, and I will definitely give her that. She fought valiantly against Genesis, like really started off like, and what was so crazy is Genesis actually attacked Steffi Slays before the match even began and before they even rang the bell. And for that to have happened and for Steffi to sort of battle back afterwards and, hitting 2 arm drags and a shoulder tackle and with multiple pinning attempts and just so many different offensive maneuvers against Genesis, Steffi really could have had this match won. But Genesis decided to use underhanded tactics outside of kicking her and choking her and working her down with her MMA background and all of the above. She stomped on Steffi Slays' toes and scooped her up for a pin and used the assist of the ropes in order to cover her and pin her for the 1-2-3. And Genesis won the match with evil shenanigans and proceeded to grab the microphone and brag about how she won that match in a dominant fashion. She said, "For so long, I've been with Exile, with my blood, sweat, and tears into this team and hoping that one day we could be Wild Tag Team Champions. But lately, it seems that all I've been doing is carrying dead weight. As it's pretty clear with Steffi Slays tonight, it seems I can be better on my own. So this might just be my new genesis moving forward." So Miss Ma'am has a new beginning, and it's going to be without Exile from now on. And a part of me wondered, like, I wonder how Exodus and Ice Cold feel about this, because we haven't heard from them yet. We haven't seen them make an appearance after Genesis said what she said. So we just have to wait and see. But it seems like Genesis has definitely made her decision that she is in this for herself now. And the idea of her calling them dead weight was just real disrespectful. But it's sad. But yeah, I guess after losing the trios tournament and all the other miscommunications they've had, Genesis has just had enough and she just wants to be on her own. So Katrina, how did you feel about this match and what Genesis had to say afterward?
Well, I'm not surprised, honestly. She's kind of been alluding to that over the last few months, honestly. She's been saying that, well, you know, she's part of a team, that she's the reason why they've gotten to where they got into with, as the new leader. And so especially with the way that kind of went down with the tournament, and then I can honestly see why she kind of was just like, all right, do I think she went about it the right way? Absolutely not. But I'm not surprised. I even recall during an interview did with her that it was something very similar, just the fact that she felt she was the reason that Exile even made it as far as they did. And so, her deciding after this was just like, I think I'm gonna just kind of handle it. And to an extent, it's more so like, I get it. Like, if you depend on people, then you're disappointed. I feel like if you kind of depend on yourself and you either get it or you don't get it, you might be hard on yourself, but I feel like it's a different level of disappointment when you like thinking it's going to be like your squad or whatever the case may be, and then they all disappoint you. Like, you might be disappointing yourself, but it's like not double disappointment when you're dealing with somebody else in a team. And so I can understand it. I don't know if I'd necessarily agree with her way going about it. I also didn't particularly like her winning the way she did. And I know it'll probably be said like, well, but it won, and that's fine. Well, but I feel like you win the right way, and then there will be no need for anybody to question your ability or question what you're doing if you're not necessarily winning in that way. Also, I think Steffi, she she did try very hard, and again, it's one of those that makes you sad because like you want well for her, you do, and then every time you think like it's gonna get well, and it's like oh, it's not like you just want a little better for Steffi. I feel like it's just been a really long road of sadness when it comes to her, and but she did try, valiantly. I believe. I just Genesis was being Genesis. And but do I like the wordplay also? If anybody know what Genesis usually means, I if you biblical, the Book of Genesis, or if you're beginnings, and so I do like the little play to the her saying that. All right, I like it. I respect the little wordplay there. But it was a good match. Otherwise, I just kind of was like, oh, Genesis, girly, why? This is probably not the way to move. But otherwise, it was a good match.
Yeah, I don't necessarily like the way she did it either, because it just seems like, of course, she was just lashing out due to just so much anger and frustration that had built up. And I tend to, as a wrestling fan, like it a little bit better when a group breaks up, or like a three or a faction breaks up, is usually because they've made a decision from seeing things, or seeing that they're going in separate directions, and then they just decide to move on, as opposed to just calling each other names and just disrespecting the other person and just saying, well, you're not doing this and you're not doing that, and just playing the blame game. Like I tend to not like that a whole lot, even though it's par for the course in wrestling where you see groups break up in that way. I just tend to like it better when people understand, that there is one person moving in this trajectory and the other person is moving in that trajectory. And it doesn't mean that your respect and your love for that person hasn't died. It's just you see that there are different goals ahead. And I low-key would have felt better if Exile ended that way, as opposed to Genesis, acting like everything was okay one minute, then being angry, and then acting like everything was okay the next minute, and then being angry again, and then ultimately deciding to be on her own. um it's horrible, and I imagine it has to be painful for the girls that she's been working with for almost close to almost 2 years now. And it has to be painful for them to hear her call them dead weight. Like, so you're making it seem like they didn't do anything, like they didn't help you move as far in the trios tournament, as you did, or they didn't try to be as dominant as you wanted them to be. Like, you're making it seem like it was just you doing all the work and everybody else was just your background singers. Like, this is not a Diana Ross and the Supreme situation. It's all of the Supremes putting in their part, singing all their parts and all of the above. And I know that's a little bit dated for some people, but that's just me. I'm just a music nerd. So it's just, I just hate that Genesis, tried to come out and act like she was just, the end all be all, when in actuality it was all of Exile and all of their moving parts holding it together. But if she wants to do this, then that's fine. Strike out on your own, create your new beginning, all that stuff. And I did like the wordplay too, because I am a biblical person. So it's just like, when she said that, I was like, I like that. That's cool. But, girl, chill out. But yeah, Genesis won the match, and I really need better for Stephy Slays. And I'm not just saying that because we basically share the same name. I'm saying that because it's true. Like, Steffi is a WoW OG, and she deserves to be treated with more respect, and she deserves to be booked to win a couple of times, and not just as a WoW superhero that's here to just put a lot of the new girls over. Like, if we're snatching back the curtain a little bit, like, I want Steffi to just have more moments where she's actually victorious and not made to look like, oh, well, she's this great fighter, but she's going to, lose to this person. Like, I want more for her in that regard, because she is really good. And I just don't want for her to lose and then to just disappear for a time and then reappear only to lose again. It's annoying me at this point. Not as a negative, but it's just like, dang, like, she's really good, so give her things. So yeah, after that match and that promo happened, backstage we see the All-American girls, Americana and Santana Garrett, hanging out in the locker room, talking about how much Levi has grown as a little boy. And they get a visit from Abilene Maverick, giving Santana an envelope. And she was just like, hey, like, here's this envelope, here you go. And I'm pretty sure you'll be interested in what's inside. And Americana asked Santana, like, is it a contract like for a title match? And she opens it and it is a contract for a title match, but it's not for Santana. It's for Americana. And Americana is absolutely lit about the opportunity. She is excited. So as it turns out, Abilene chose Americana to be her next opponent for the Wild World title here again before the Beast. So it is amazing that she got to have this opportunity. But of course, you know, Abilene Maverick likes to play those games. So it's just, it was kind of, you had to kind of take it with a grain of salt. But seeing the joy on Americana's face was just really cool. So yeah, that was interesting. So Kat, how did you feel about her getting that contract?
I mean, before it was revealed, I thought she was trying to be funny, and this is just saying like my level of just distrust for Abilene. I thought she was trying to be funny. I did. I thought she was trying to cause some kind of discord between the girls. With that being said, I do think it's a good opportunity for Americana, to have that opportunity. Do I think Americana's gonna, do her best? Yes. Do I think she's gonna win it? No. And not that she can't. It's because I just don't trust Abilene. I feel like she's gonna do something. I think her choosing, she's gonna do it in a way that I chose it, and I'm gonna kind of try to control this as much as possible. And so I don't think Americana's gonna win it. I'll be very surprised. And my reason is just simply because Abilene, in that regard to at the point of this episode, I mean, like it's like this what she does. She does shenanigans. You can't take anything she does without thinking there's some kind of ulterior motive behind it, And so I was like, I mean, good for her, but also like good for Americana, but also like Evelyn Grove. Like it's just like I feel like every time she does something, I'm annoyed because I know it's something that's shenanigans. So yeah.
Yeah, Aveline just likes to play those games. She just loves to play games with people's lives. And yeah, you hate to feel that way, but at the same time, just watching Americana and her happiness and getting that opportunity was just pretty cool. And then on top of that, like if you really think about it, since we've started covering WoW, as far as I know, I believe this is probably maybe her first time getting an opportunity at the WoW World title. So maybe so it's just, if it's not, please feel free to correct me, but I really feel like it might have been her first opportunity at the WoW World title. So the idea that that was it for her, in that aspect was just really cool. So, and then the fact that Santana was supportive of her was also really good too, because their friendship is pretty healthy in that way where they can be happy for each other and encourage each other. So that was really cool. So after that, we go into match number 3 of this episode with Chainsaw coming out with Angelica Dante versus Chantilly Chella. And this, of course, happened due to all the crazy stuff that was going on with Chainsaw and Holodead, but then somehow how Holodead got linked up with Chantilly Chella and Foxy Fierce coming to her aid. And so we have a little bit of dark magic going on up in here with this little feud. And the thing that freaked me out the most about this match was just, how Chainsaw has her vest that's made up of people's faces. Angelica Dante came out with a fan made up of skin. And I was like, oh God. Because I'm not a horror girl. I thought that was like the sickest thing I'd ever seen. I was like, oh my God, they have matching accessories with skin. Oh, yeah, it was just really creepy. But other than that, the match was pretty good in the sense that Chantilly Chella is always fun to watch. She is a high flyer, and she definitely tried to use her agility and kickboxing acumen to try to get the best of Chainsaw. She tried to wrap her up for a suplex towards the beginning, but of course Chainsaw used her power and her brawn in order to try to break Chantilly down a lot of the time. Like this match was a pretty good back and forth between both women, and amazingly enough, Chantilly Chella got the win after Chainsaw got distracted by Angelica Dante trying to give her a command, and she wound up accidentally hitting Angelica Dante in the head. And Chantilly took advantage of that distraction with a jackknife pin and won the match. But she didn't get to celebrate that long because Chainsaw was still in the ring and she attacked her from behind. And Foxy Fierce, with her amazing afro, came in to try to even up the odds, but then they both got caught up in a double choke slam and got knocked down. And then Holiday popped up in order to help them and starts fighting with Chainsaw. But then the lights throughout the whole theater got dim, and out pops Siren the Voodoo Doll, who we haven't seen since like last season. Like, she's been gone for a minute, so boom, she's back with the jump off. Siren the Voodoo Doll comes back and starts fighting with the other girls, and basically has an attacks Holiday with deer horns on top of that. And then after that, they come back from commercial break, and Siren cuts a promo and says, "I'm Siren, I'm back. Siren the Voodoo Doll is back at Women of Wrestling. And while I'm back where I belong, somebody is not in their rightful place. Holiday, you made your bed, now you have to lie in it. You betrayed not only me and your sisters, but your coven. But you know what? I'm full of mercy and grace. If you undo that mistake and if you unmake that bed, and lay your fortune with us, you'll be welcomed back with open arms. But if you stay with those laughing, dancing, and smiling idiots, your fate will be the same as theirs." So, Siren the Voodoo Doll came back with a new attitude, new hair, which I absolutely love, and she's angry at Holiday for turning her back on the team of darkness. And she's angry at her for somewhat aligning herself with Chantilly and Foxy Fierce, even though she seemed kind of hesitant. And I guess now they're starting to want to make Holiday's life a living hell, if that's possible, um, to do. So, Katrina, how did you feel about the match between Chainsaw and Chantilly and everything that happened afterward with Siren the Voodoo Doll and what she had to say?
I think the match was good. I was surprised Chantilly won, and not that I don't think she could. It's not even that. It's just like Chainsaw normally goes through her opponents, unless she's somebody who's semi close to strength or maybe a little bit of craziness. She tends to kind of run through her opponents. And so I was very surprised. I was like, okay, Chantilly, all right, use your this is again, she's a vet in the ring. Chantilly, she's been wrestling a very long time, and she clearly used some of that vet skill there. Like, I'm going to use this distraction and get the victory. Now, did it work out for her right after? Not necessarily, because she was involved in double choke slam with Foxy. Eventually, when it got down to it, and then before she got to double choke slam, she was kind of getting beat up. That which is what made Foxy come out there in the first place. And so she didn't necessarily get to really celebrate the fact that she won it. But I do think it was a good match. I do think, Chainsaw being Chainsaw, there's a reason why she's like that. As far as Siren, and I know Holodead like came out to help and everything, but like I was wondering where she was. She's been MIA for a little bit. However, the saying that you portrayed like girl, Chainsaw was one acting weird. I feel like the only reason why Holodead was like doing anything to any extent was because Chainsaw was doing a lot much that she kind of had to feel like she had to kind of step in to extent. I feel like that it wasn't that she was necessarily trying to betray the coven. Uh, which is I guess I don't know if you would call that for they're supposed to be like voodoo-ish. I don't know if you call it a coven. Um, but not that I don't think she was necessarily trying to portray them. I just think she was trying to probably get Chainsaw. Like, it's like, girl, you doing a little too much. You walnut just a little too much. Because we know that all of them have engaged and stuff that is like not nice. But I feel like that's the reason she came out. It was just like Chainsaw was walling a bit. And she had to kind of really end this tad that it wound up now it's all this stuff. And so if I was, Holodead, I was somebody would tell me what I'm supposed to be doing. That's dope. Personally, I'm like, all right, Siren, as soon as she would have said that, and this is why I don't wrestle, but as soon as that would have happened, I would have been like, girl, please, please. I would even like, you're not gonna be like basically semi-threatening me. Okay. But I am interested to see how this is gonna play out between them, between Holodead and Siren. I'm gonna assume Chainsaw is gonna be maybe reminiscent of Team Superior IQ. Where you can there's a member who left, and there was ones who felt like she had to be taught a lesson, whatever the case may be. And so I feel like it's going to be kind of running in that regard as far as where Siren's headspace is on that. But it was a good match.
Yeah, it was a good match. And you do make an incredibly valid point in the sense that Chainsaw was the one who was kind of wilding out, and Angelica couldn't even control her. And Holiday was the one who had to basically look at her and tell her to chill out. And they wound up fighting in a match, and Holiday wound up beating her. So it's not like really like Holiday, I guess, left per se. It was Chainsaw who started acting out of control. So I feel like maybe Holiday is less to blame in that situation than Siren is, because Chainsaw started wilding out after Siren was absent a bit. So I feel like maybe Siren is sort of misplacing that blame towards Holiday when really it's technically possibly her fault, but I don't know. But in that regard, I mean, Holiday will be fine regardless, because she is a very dominant force and she isn't afraid to step to Chainsaw, unlike, a lot of people who sort of, have some fear of her, which I totally get, because that girl is kind of crazy, and kind of scary. But at the same time, Holiday can look deep into her eyes and really, elicit a power and a reaction from her that not a lot of people can. And I feel like eventually, that's gonna have to like come to grips, and I'm more than sure that they're gonna use their power somehow, in the ring to sort of get the upper hand on each other. Now, how Holodead is gonna get to Siren in that way, I'm not entirely sure, but I am interested in seeing how it goes. um so yeah, I feel like this is going to be really cool. You have another battle of darkness and dark forces and voodoo and stuff, which is more stuff that I don't really know that much about, but at the same time am and have been exposed to a little bit. So I can't wait to see how it manifests itself on WoW. And I just want to be able to see Holodead, I guess, fight side by side with Chantilly and Foxy, and sort of, watch them rise above it. I kind of want to see how that's gonna turn out. But I'm loving Foxy Fierce's hair this season. Like Afro power. I just love it because I just have a soft spot for afros because I have mine. So it's just kind of like, I just love it. So yeah. And in speaking about that, Katrina, do you have an afro? Have you ever had an afro before?
Probably when I was a kid. I have not
Mm-hmm.
had an afro probably since then, as I was a relaxed girl pretty early.
Mm-hmm.
My girls, however, they have both had afros at different periods. And sometimes my oldest, depending on the humidity, her hair, which might be a little bit more, what call it, will look more afro-ish by like if it's humid day and you can tell when it's starting to look a little bit rough. And not that afro is rough, just you can tell it switched totally different from what she started off with. And then she might have an afro, but my girls have had them, just not me. And I've seen my
Oh, okay.
grandmas. I've seen my grandmas and my aunts like pictures, and I was like, oh yeah, yeah, I was on it with the fur and everything. I thought that was pretty cool. But no, I've never had one. But I do think Foxy.
It's a top tier fro. It really is. It's a very top tier fro. I just had to ask you that because I'm like, because I was kind of starting out with with my hair relaxed too, but I stopped because when I got to college, there wasn't a lot of places where I could continue to keep getting relaxers. So I just went ahead and just let it grow out, and I've had it out as a natural for almost 12 years now, and I don't regret it at all. There's still so much I can do with it, but at the same time I love my natural hair. It's beautiful. It's incredible, and sometimes I have my moments with it where I'm just like, help, but other than that, I just really love it, and I just love seeing it represented in wrestling in that way. And I just, every time I see it, it just gives me life, and it's just like, yay. There it goes. So yeah, I just had to let that out. But moving into things that don't make me say yay, backstage we have a promo. Not really a promo, but we have an interaction with Ariel Sky and Coach Campanelli. And of course, this was what I call a weak in the knees moment, because Ariel told Coach Campanelli, all I ever wanted was to make you proud. And I know that Team Spirit has been at times a B team, but we really had something good going when it was just me and you. So let me work hard for you in top tier. And then she actually gave her the picture that they took together, that she did at once rip in half, and she taped it back together and she gave it to her. And Coach said, if you're going to want to get back in my good graces, you're going to have to sweeten the pot. And then Ariel said, okay, I'll do anything. And then Coach said, okay, well, let's have a match. If you win, I'll let you be in top tier. But if I win, you have to be our water girl. And Ariel was like, water girl? Or like, are you serious? And then Coach started laughing at her and said, you said you do anything. And then she proceeds to say, okay, yeah, I'll do it. And Coach Campanelli said, good, shut the door on your way out. And she seemed pretty irritated by that. So that match was made, but this really upset me. But before I go further into how much it upset me, Katrina, how did this promo make you feel?
Ah, it's a weird thing because I can understand why, Ariel Sky, you know, was trying to get back in her good graces, and considering that, Coach brought her in and they were a little bit of a squad, especially with Randy kind of going away, they were together. And so I get that. I didn't particularly like how quickly she let go of her other teammates though. I did feel like that was a bit weird to me. Because I'm like, girl, Coach Campanelli basically threw you to the side, even if she was mad about, you know, you getting a member or whatever the case may be, her throwing you to the side like you was some random person, like you teamed one time and she didn't owe you no loyalty, was kind of weird. And so you want to go back into that? I felt like Coach was always a little bit side stuff she did was side eyeing a little bit. Like I'm just like, I don't know. I don't know if I'll let this slide. I don't know if you're gonna like talk to me like this or whatever. I felt like sometimes Coach did a little too much. I felt like sometimes she did much even before Ariel got there. I thought she was sometimes a little too much. Like she was the only one doing all the work in every aspect. And so it's like I understand it, but then I don't understand it. I feel like I understand to the extent of wanting to be friends with somebody you might have seen as a friend. But then I also understand, like, girl, did she not basically not only do all that embarrass you, but then what about the other members? Like, do they not deserve your friendship now because you're trying to get back into Coach's good graces? Unless you're doing some elaborate ruse where you're doing something for some kind of payback, it kind of feels like you do the other girls to the side to get back at somebody who never really was that appreciative of you. So I can understand why it upset you because I was kind of annoyed by it as well.
Yeah. The thing about this is I feel like this is also near from my heart because I've been in a situation like this, except it wasn't with a friend. It was with a guy and it wasn't the greatest. And what I learned from that entire situation is that sometimes people will literally be arrogant enough to think that you added nothing to their life and think that they gave you everything. And the thing that frustrates me about this is the fact that Coach did bring Ariel Sky in, and you are right in that regard when it came to, Randy Rah leaving. It was just Coach and it was just Ariel. And, she was supportive of everything that Coach wanted to do. And when they brought in, of course, Pep Riley, that was their idea. But I've said before that it was only when Ariel started having her own ideas. That was when, Coach started to have like a rift with her. And it just upsets me that you guys went through all of that, but yet she chose to embarrass you guys in the finals of the trios tournament, replace you with a whole nother team, act like you're getting the victory for it, and then attack you in front of everybody else. This woman made you feel the lowest of the low. So why are you crawling back to her so soon? It's like she hasn't even truly had a chance to miss you yet, which is pretty clear she doesn't miss you because she's gone off with Gloria Glitter and Kandi Krush. Well, not Kandi Krush, Crush, and created this new team called Top Tier, got matching clothes and matching gear and everything else. And she is even thinking about you. So why are you thrusting yourself back at the mercy of this woman who has stepped all over your feelings and abandoned you and embarrassed you in such a way that actually would require you to actually beat her ass? And I'm sorry to be rude or crass in that way, but by all accounts, you should be coming after her and knocking her upside the head with the water bucket and not serving her water. But yet you're running back to her. And I understand you may have loved her at one point and all you wanted was to make her proud or whatever. But it seemed like with everything that you did and with every bar that you crossed, you never made her proud because nothing is ever enough for her. And those are the type of people that you have to leave behind, where no matter what you do, nothing is good enough for them. And Ariel running back to her, disappointed me. And it just gave me this vibe right here.
Y'all be weak in the knees. Stand up. Stand up.
Literally, like, girl, stand up, okay? Do not be weak in the knees for Coach Campanelli. Stand up, okay? And that's just how it made me feel. Like, I need you to stand up and be for real with yourself. But of course, we'll go further into that a little bit later. So, also backstage, we saw Americana getting some words of encouragement from Santana before the championship match. And she was telling her to trust her instincts. And then they showed a recap of the tag team match between Miami Sweet Heat and the Dojo Defenders, Tara Strike and Kara Kai. And they cut a promo talking about, how um Tara started talking first, and she was talking about how her sensei would always tell her about how even when you don't win a match or win like a fight, it's usually a lesson that can be learned from it. And they were able to learn, basically what WoW was all about in facing Miami Sweet Heat. And Kara Kai basically said, well, now that we know what we're dealing with, you'll see more of us, bet on that. And that was really cool to see from both of them, and having, that fighting spirit carried on, even though they did lose to the Carlson twins. I can't wait to see more of what they have to offer as a tag team. And of course, we are definitely always here for both women, but especially Tootie Lynn, because we love her. So, yeah. I'm just so excited that she's on TV. I just can't even begin to get over. I can't even begin to just. I'm just so happy. So, this leads us into our main event with Americana versus Abilene Maverick for the WoW World title. And of course, it says mystery wrestler on here, but it was revealed to be Americana. So that was the flyer that went out for that match. So Americana used a lot of her athleticism and her quickness to get the upper hand on Abilene Maverick. But something that Abilene really does, even though as much as she gets on our nerves, she definitely does know how to fight her opponents, and sort of grind them down to her level. And that was something that she was trying to do with Americana here. She kept adding insult to injury every time she hit her, and would insult her to her face and all of the above. And another impressive part of this match was when Abilene actually locked in a dragon sleeper while also elbowing Americana's abs. I was just like, okay, you're being extra vicious. I get it. I definitely get it. And Americana was using a lot of her quickness to try to win the title and everything, but the match only lasted for so long until shenanigans were afoot. And as Americana was getting ready to climb up to the third rope, she gets held back by her ankles by a certain Miss Jessie Jones, who is still having it out for her. And she stops her from climbing up the top rope, knocks her off of the apron, and holds her down. And while Abilene is watching this, here again with that opportunistic spirit she has, she's distracting the referee and making the referee do like a quicker count to 10 to count out Americana, so she can't make it back in the ring. And so with Americana being counted out due to being held down by Jessie Jones, who was out of the sight of the referee, Abilene Maverick is still our WoW World Champion. But Abilene did not get by scot-free. She was celebrating her victory, and the Beast ran into the ring and speared the crap out of Abilene Maverick and grabbed the title and held it in her hands. And that's where that episode of WoW ended. So Katrina, how did you feel about that match? How it ended with Americana and Jessie Jones, and how the Beast looks now that she attacked Abilene after that match?
Yeah, I was hoping, when they had that final tag match between Santana and Americana and Jessie and Ever, that we wouldn't see Jessie Jones necessarily interfering again. So for her to do all that, and then the last matchup you lost, and then to now mess up her title shot, and the part of me is wondering now, did like Abilene tell her to come out and do that, like to mess with her, knowing that they had beef? Because it was just, I thought they were done. I thought the beef between them was supposed to happen, once the last match was. And so, for Americana, like I said, previously, I didn't think she would win. I didn't. I feel like there's nothing in that has happened so far with Abilene that you can be like, all right, she's gonna give somebody a fair shot I did not expect her to lose that belt. I did not. Um, with the Beast coming out, I was perfectly fine with that because it's like, yes, girl, for the love of everything, can we get this match so you get the title back, and then we can heal as a people, And that was very dramatic, I know, but I feel like when we can get to this level of off the shenanigans, we can heal as a group. And so I was fine with her. I was fine with her coming in spearing Abilene. I was like, yes, because I am patiently, very patiently, but also very impatiently waiting for the Beast to become champion again. I feel like once that happened, again, we as a group can heal because I feel like Abilene has caused us all trauma. I feel, whatever. Um, but it was, for what we got, it was a good match before all the shenanigans that happened.
She said we can heal as a people. that But that's real though, like for real, like literally, like we were a proper country when the Beast was the world champion. We were a proper country, and now we're not. And that's literally what it sounds like when you said. Oh my god, we can heal as a. But you're right though. We can heal as a nation when Beast is the champion again. And I did like how she came in and just put a stamp on, how she feels about, the Wild World title
Yeah,
and how she feels about Abilene. Like I liked it ended that way with her on top. I preferred that, and that was really cool. Because at the end of the day, as good as Abilene Maverick is, there's just no outrunning or outgunning the Beast at all.
yeah,
So, now that Abilene has had this match that she orchestrated with Americana, and you did give an amazing point. Like, what if she orchestrated for Jessie Jones to come out there? Because, her and Americana fought so hard, even in the tag team, of it all with
yes,
Grits and Glory with Amber O'Neil and all of that, that you would have thought that it would have been over by now. But Jessie just inserted herself again, and it's just like, God dang. Like Americana just can't catch a break at all. So it's just like, oh, it's so sad. And it's slightly annoying because you would think that, after them fighting tooth and nail for months on end or weeks on end, that their beef would be done. But as it turns out, it's not, because Jessie Jones is just that spiteful to just take those opportunities from her. So yeah, Abilene is still the champion, but of course the Beast left that episode on a high note. So yeah, that was a really cool and dominant way to end. So moving into last weekend's episode, for me, when it comes to airing, it came on after a soccer game, so there was a good piece of the beginning that I did not see. So when the episode came on for me, I saw the mother truckers holding on to signs and, cutting a promo onto Miami Sweet Heat. And of course that led to their main event match being scheduled for the Wild Tag Team titles. So that was all I saw. So Katrina, do you remember like anything else that you saw to sort of fill in that blank for me? Because I did not. I missed like the first chunk of the beginning.
I'm trying. No, because to be fair, it's been a week, guys. I'm so sorry. No, I'm trying to. No, I can't remember either. This is bad. Sorry. We apologize, guys. It's like I said,
It's
it's
okay.
we both it's been a week. It's been a week, guys.
It
But no,
has.
I yeah, I remember the match being set up for that, but I don't think I can remember if there was something else before that part. So
Yeah, it's okay. Like, cause like I said, when it came on for me, it was because it was preempted, by a soccer game. So, Birmingham sports. What are you gonna do? Um, we
and
do
mine
our
normally
best.
come on super late, like 11-ish is when it comes on for me, and sometimes I have to catch it, I have to watch it at a different time because by the time I'm usually sleeping. So,
Yeah, it comes
yeah.
on normally at 6 for us down here in Birmingham. But then it might be preempted due to, any level of sports or local sports that might be going on, and then it'll come on at the latest at 8 or like 9 p.m. on a Saturday. So, it still comes on relatively early in the Saturday thing and not necessarily as late. But yeah, that was what I saw, but it's okay. We saw that happen. But then they also showed a recap of Ariel Sky and Coach Campanelli's backstage talk, which we, of course, labeled as the weak in the knees moment for Ariel Sky earlier. So this led to their match against each other, Coach Campanelli versus Ariel Sky. Of course, this was announced by Lauren Hunkley that if Coach won the match, that Ariel would have to be the water girl for top tier. And if Ariel had won the match, then she would be a part of the top tier team. So this match was really good. Like, I really enjoyed this match in terms of its athleticism. Ariel Sky really showed and proved why she is that girl and could be a part of top tier if she really truly wanted to, but I just don't think it's really in her soul to be that, callous and mean. But she was out here doing all kinds of flips into drop kicks and all of the above. And I was just like, Ariel, never change, because you are awesome the way you are. Your athleticism is fire. Like, girl, you're amazing. Like, she just really gave herself and gave her all in this match. Like, she thrusted herself into Coach Campanelli into the corner. Like, she did backflips and thrust into her again with like a shoulder tackle and just all kinds of amazing things that she was doing on top of things. But Coach Campanelli was just being tough in this match as well. She was just trying to break her down. Like, she kicked her in the stomach and whipped her outside the ring. She gave a clothesline to her. And she even, ran on top of her back the way that sort of like a la Natalia would. How she would run on top of your back and then give you like a drop kick and a discus clothesline. Like, that's what Coach Campanelli was out here doing. And then Ariel fought back with an enziguri to Coach Campanelli, but then Coach dragged Ariel off of the top rope and hit her buzzer beater in order to win the match. So, sadly, Coach Campanelli won. So now Ariel Sky has to be their water girl. Sad freaking face. Katrina, how do you feel about this match? And how do you feel now that Ariel has to be the water girl for top?
I enjoyed the match. I do think that both ladies like really gave it all there. I was a little sad about this, like, and me being semi-biased because I actually know Ariel Sky in person, but I was like, oh no, like being like, I'm sure whoever been water boys or water girls, I am sure you guys might have been okay with that. But I have never known a water boy to necessarily be, or a water girl, necessarily to be more than somebody who's just a bit of a lackey. Gotta do what we need you to do. It's kind of those vibes. I sometimes see, if you think of like teams, being a coach as a coach, you think of teams where it's like semi hazing, where it had like the one new person just doing all types of stuff because they're new. And so I felt like in this regard, like this is what's happening. It's like, oh, you lost. Now we're gonna probably make everything like hell. And I really feel like that. I really feel like that they will, especially with the attitudes of top tier. The attitudes that they have right now. I don't see them being kind. I don't see them taking it easy on it. I think they're gonna really make her like wish she didn't ask all that, which is why she shouldn't have, as said it enough when we were talking about the other episode, of even having that kind of conversation, because Coach is not somebody you can kind of reason with in that regard. I feel like Coach is always about self. She was that way when it was her by herself, and she was that way when it was her ready. And so, like, now adding a new member or another member, and then her just kind of worrying about self, which is why she changed the teams in the first place, because she wanted this shot and she felt like she couldn't get it with the team she had. Not the nicest situation. And so I'm like, now, girl, you did all this, and now you're gonna be sitting there giving water. Like, that's why you don't be saying things in locker rooms. That's why you keep your intrusive thoughts about feelings to yourself in this matter if you know you're gonna deal with somebody like Coach Campanelli. Was a good match though, but I was definitely very sad. I was like, "Oh, Ariel, you're not supposed to let this happen. Gotta stand tough in this. You can miss a person and know the person, as the saying goes, is not good for you. I know nothing coach is good for Ariel Sky.
Y'all be weak in the knees. Stand up. Stand up.
I'm sorry. I'm just going to keep playing that video until we just get some absolution for her, because She deserves better than that. Like I feel like Ariel proved in this match why she could probably lead Team Spirit on her own if she truly wanted to, or if she believed in herself in that way. Because she has the athleticism to do it. Now, she might not have the forcefulness, the force of leadership in term like Coach Campanelli had when it came to Team Spirit, but I really feel like she has the ability to, of course, athletic wise, in order to lead Team Spirit. So the idea that she would just run back to her just upsets me. And you are definitely right. Like history, in the history of sports, nobody ever truly respected, the water person in that regard. Now, of course, I don't know how they operate in the NFL and other places like that, but it just seemed like stereotypically that's never been the case. So the idea that, she lost that match and now, she has to be at the beck and call of top tier is just absolutely horrible. And I would hope that this is going to be like a huge plan for Team Spirit to get back at top tier, but at the same time it's really looking like, it's not that, and it just makes me sad because she's just so good. So Ariel Sky deserves better, and we're gonna keep saying that she deserves better until she gets better. Also, side note, I believe Ariel Sky might be having a match at Battle Club Pro coming up. Isn't she?
I believe so, and that's, I think that if I'm not mistaken, that's the first time I was aware of who she was. Was at a Battle Club thing, and so
Yeah, she'll be having a match pretty soon. I believe it might be like a intergender match. Like it's called Battle Club Pro Let's Go, where a lot of the matches are going to be intergender, and I think that's amazing. They have amazing shows up there. So of course, if you're in the New York area, go and check out Ariel Sky / Nikki Duke in her match that she will be having, and all the other matches that'll be taking place. There are lots of amazing women in Battle Club Pro and amazing men too. Shout out to Joakim Morales and also Janelle from the HR from Jobber Tears for putting all of that card together. So please go out and follow Battle Club Pro wherever you can so you can figure out how to get your tickets and how to go to their events and all of the above. Go for me because I can't go to everything and New York is not down here. So, just do it for me because but it's okay. They know I love them and that's all that matters. So Coach Campanelli got the win here. So backstage, we did get a promo from Samantha Smart and the Classmaster addressing G.I. Jane before their match. And Samantha Smart said, G.I. Jane, you think you're this big bad drill sergeant of WoW? Nope. Well, after this match, you're going to look like a recruit. In fact, as you would like to say, a maggot. You see, the Classmaster here is prepared to take you to school and give you a formal education on who the true IQ superior is. That's me. And Classmaster said, that's right. I'm going to make her read a book. I'm going to make her read this book cover to cover. Let's go. And I was just like, this is so funny. Because Samantha Smart came in real hot with that promo of like sounding real mad, at real aggressive towards G.I. Jane. And Classmaster was like, look, I'm going to have her read a book and I'm going to make her read it cover to cover. What makes you think that G.I. Jane wouldn't read a book cover to cover? Do you know how much mental discipline it takes to be a drill sergeant, to even work up to that point? And a part of having mental strength to do stuff like that is being able to read a full book. I'm sure she has done that before, Classmaster. Don't do her like that. Don't do her like that. So yeah, it was just really funny, just the opposites of how those promos were cut. It was just really funny. Jock in the comments saying a lot of research. Yeah, a lot of research, but hey, whatever. G.I. Jane is that girl, and I'm pretty sure she knows what it is to read a book. So this led into this match. The Classmaster versus G.I. Jane. And of course, this also feeds into the rivalry that they've had since G.I. Jane left IQ Superior after winning the leader of the pack match that Samantha Smart made. All three members of Team IQ Superior participated, and G.I. Jane came out the winner. And it just seems like there's just this huge aggression towards G.I. Jane for winning that match because Samantha really herself, I feel like Samantha really wanted to be the leader of the pack, but just didn't expect G.I. Jane to win. And that's why she's being so aggressive towards her now. And of course, G.I. Jane is coming off the momentum that she had from facing off against Penelope Pink. 2 weeks ago, and that match was really good, but she wound up, losing, but still, it was still a great match. So this match was really good because, of course, athletically, both of these women have the same sort of arsenal because they're both, pretty tall women and pretty big women in that regard. The match started with them trying to hit big boots on each other, and that gives you a notion as to how the match was going. Both women are very powerful, but Classmaster in a couple of moments looked like she was just trying to target the long legs and knees of G.I. Jane by, submitting her out and trying to flex her backwards and break her arms, as well as submit her, by stretching her neck and her back and all the above, and just targeting the back of her knees. But G.I. Jane, gave a great effort in fighting out of it and, just showing more of her prowess that's growing in the ring as well. And that was really good. But sadly enough, G.I. Jane wound up losing this match by getting distracted by Samantha Smart, and Classmaster took advantage by hitting her with a very decisive big boot and covered her for the 1, 2, 3. Sad face. Sad face. Because I want G.I. Jane to get her things. And afterward, Samantha Smart cut another promo saying, G.I. Jane, the drill sergeant, you must be pretty embarrassed because you're looking more like you haven't finished your basic training. I am the leader of the pack, and the Classmaster just schooled you. Upset. So, Katrina, how did you feel about this match? And the performance of both the Classmaster and G.I. Jane as similar types of athletes here?
I do. I did enjoy the match. I liked that they were similar. I think that was something that worked when they were a team, when they were together. They had similarities in how they moved around. And I know we also had the disciplinarian who was like part of that team, and another person in regards to Samantha being smart enough to get women that are like a little bit bigger of size in regards to like height, weight, whatever the case may be. And so I do think that to an extent they were almost evenly matched. Almost, because they are very similar. They also come from the same set of group. They were both in the same group, which I'm sure Samantha probably gave some tips or whatever the case may be. With that being said, though, I'm like, girl, you let yourself get distracted. Like, yeah, you supposed to be a person. I mean, that you supposed to be aware. You're gonna be aware, girlie. You shouldn't have, that shouldn't have happened to you. As far as like her being basically, in that position to lose. With that being said, as far as the promo and talking about she just got schooled, like, girl, as you kind of alluded to, it's very possible she was just mad that she lost her person. Like, you lost somebody who's in your group who was decent, but somebody you didn't think was probably going to lose. I think that was probably why she was okay with going in that way. She probably thought she had it like, I'm still the leader, and it's what I say, and I'm the puppeteer, just kind of maneuvering people where I need to maneuver them. That's like the vibe I get from that. Like, then maybe that's why she was so upset that G.I. Jane did win it. Because it's like, well, what do you need me for if you could be winning these things without my knowledge, without my input? So I do think it's a mix of both. But it was a good match. With both girls. I really think that it's always nice to see. And this is nothing for the small girlies. I'm a small girly. It's always nice to see women again with more size to them move around the way that they did. And I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty cool too, but ultimately I just feel like all of this aggression towards G.I. Jane, she's just Samantha is just very obsessed with trying to humble her. And if it's one thing I know in life I can't stand is when somebody makes it their life's mission to try to humble a powerful black woman. And it's just, and I know that's not what it is, but it's just like in my soul, I'm just like, no, y'all ain't finna do this to her, and trying to humble her just because you put them in this situation to have to fight each other, and G.I. Jane came out the winner. You can't sit up here, and just try to bully her and single her out just because she did that. And then she wanted to stand on her own when you decided to abuse her. So it's just kind of like, no, like, I'm gonna need for you to chill. Like, I almost want, even though I know that Samantha Smart is primarily a manager, I almost want to see her get in the ring and just see what she would have to offer just to see if she could really back up all that talk. Like, my thing is, if you're going to talk all this noise, be able to back it up. And it's just like, I feel that she talks so much noise because she has these powerful women who can fight and push her narrative for her, and they will protect her, and she won't have to fight. And I feel like if Samantha had to fight on her own and back up a lot of the words that she says, then she wouldn't have a chance. Like, I low-key want to see how it would work out if G.I. Jane had a chance to get her hands on Samantha Smart. She would probably just break her in half and just leave her lying. Like, she would just leave her lying after that point. But I do hate that G.I. Jane did get distracted in that way, but Samantha should not have been getting in her business in the first place, number one. So I'm hoping that G.I. Jane can rise above all of this and just, rise up the ranks, because she is such an amazing athlete, and I just feel like she just has the entire aura of what it would mean to be a WoW world champion at some point. And I just want to see her win a whole lot more. So yeah, I'm just tired of Team IQ Superior coming at her and trying to make her feel like she's less than. Like, no, she's not less than. She is a drill sergeant, and she did complete basic training and all the other things. So don't do that to her. Like, just shut up. Like, stop it. Okay. So after that, we get a backstage promo from Adriana Gambino, who's been out here making moves. And she cut a promo saying that Princess Aussie, of course, has stuck her nose in other people's business for far too long. And I'm the boss, and this time I'll have my muscle behind me. So I guess she is getting ready to, elicit more of her plan with Reina Del Rey. What more that plan is, I guess we're just gonna have to figure that out. So I'm really excited about that, even though I should be worried. But either way, it's crazy. So we then get the promo that I believe all of us WoW fans have been waiting for, between Krush and Princess Aussie. Princess Aussie walked up on Krush as she was practicing her punches and said, "Hey Krush, I love this new tracksuit. You look like $1,000,000, girl. I love it." And of course, Krush wasn't here for it. She said, "What do you want?" And then Aussie said, "Okay, anyways, have you been seeing what Adriana Gambino's been doing lately? I guess Reina Del Rey is her new muscle. She straight up attacked me last week." And Crush was like, "Are you serious right now? Are you seriously bringing me into this drama with you? You, the same person who couldn't make time in her busy championship schedule to come watch my matches when I needed help? Where was I when you needed help, huh? I was right behind you. You came into my boxing gym and you wanted to quit, but I pulled you up from the ground to get your fire back, and I helped you climb the ranks to get that belt. Matter of fact, the way I see it, I'm the entire reason you had that belt." Emphasis on had. And I was like, "Ooh, okay, this is it." And Ozzy was like, "Wow, that seems very one sided. First up, Crush, I'm not a quitter. And second, what? You put a white tracksuit on and all of a sudden you forget who your real friends are? Crush, give me a break." And then Crush said, "Hey, yo, princess, why don't we settle it in the ring then?" And Ozzy looked at her and said, "You got it, Crush." And I was here for it. I was like, yes, like, if y'all are going to beef with each other, bring it in the square circle. Fight each other. Fight it out, because y'all talking at each other and being messy towards each other behind each other's back is not working for me. Let's fight. So, Katrina, how did you feel about this moment between Princess Aussie and Crush?
I knew we would get there eventually. With it being somewhat of a head at what happened between them. To an extent, I can understand some of what Crush said with regard to you kind of just randomly coming as if nothing happened. And so, not that Princess Aussie should feel like if she misses her friend, but to kind of come in and like, "Oh, you look great. Oh, did you see this happen to me? Blah 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 XYZ," and it's like nothing happened. I'm like, "Girl, did y'all not have like a falling out?" Which is part of the reason why she's part of top tier now. It's because there was a bit of a falling out between the two of you. And so to an extent I can understand why Crush was like, are you kidding me? Because it's like, girl, like how you acting like y'all haven't seen each other like a month, but you guys are friends. You guys have not been friendly for about a month or two or so. And so like to come in all regular, like you didn't know that, like girl, you knew. But with that being said, I am looking forward to this matchup because this is a bit long time coming in regards to the two of them when there was already semi drama when Princess Aussie was champion. And so to have, now you kind of want to be friends with a person you didn't really seem too concerned with. It's like, yeah. And then with Crush kind of basically implying that he was like never really a friend to her and kind of like that regard. It's like I'm definitely looking forward to see how this plays out between them in the ring.
I'm looking forward to it too. And I feel like this promo really sort of gave me a new way of looking at it in a way that I almost feel like I've been sort of seeing in passing, but not really thinking about a whole lot until I just had to sit with it a bit. Because for weeks now, we've been talking about how aggressive Crush has been being, and we've been mostly on the side of Princess Aussie because Princess Aussie isn't, a mean or malicious person. Like, she probably legit, did not have time for Crush. Like, because when you're the champion, there's more opportunities in front of you. There's more, stuff that you have to do to represent the brand and all of the above. We know how it is. We know what it is. But the thing is, I feel like this promo just sort of made it clear for me with everything that Crush has been saying in our comments whenever we share our clips and how she really feels like, her side of the story hasn't really been told. Now, of course, she told, her side of the story with you in our interview that you did with her. But at the same time, from Crush's perspective, yeah, you didn't have time for me when you were the champion. Like, you basically just poo-pooed me off when I was asking you for help. But then when you weren't the champion and you were feeling down on yourself, you came in and asked me for help with stuff. And then afterward, you went ghost when you became champion. It's like we said with the Tonga twins and Tiki. Like, you can't just get high somewhere and forget from whence you came. That's not how life works. Like, of course, you evolve with the new opportunities that you have, but do not forget the people who helped you get there. And you can't just do that, because once you do that, people like that tend to remember, and then they'll hold on to it, and then they'll hold it over your head for the rest of your life. And it seems like Crush is definitely like on that playing field where she's like, okay, you didn't make time for me, I'm going to make you regret it. And of course, that anger led to her joining top tier and all of the above, and becoming more aggressive and becoming more self-centered and all of the above, because she was a nice girl at first, but now she's a little bit more self-centered. And I can definitely understand that, because when you have pain and people have hurt you, you can either let it propel you forward into something positive, or it can change you from within and make you angry and bitter. I've had to struggle with that this week. Um, but either way, I'm glad that now they get to fight each other, because like I said, Princess Aussie is not this mean girl who meant to be malicious towards Crush. It's just that she probably was not able to give her all the time in the world that she used to before she was the champion. And I'm pretty sure she didn't mean to do that, but Crush didn't take it that way. So now, since Crush has chosen her path and Princess Aussie has chosen hers, it's time for them to fight. And I'm here for it. I'm really here for it. And yeah, and I do hate that Princess Aussie did kind of try and come up to her and was like saying, well, girl, this is happening to me, and da da da, and made it seem like everything was supposed to be cool. Maybe she felt like if they had spent some time away from each other, then maybe it would iron itself out. But that's not how it has to be. Like, when you're an adult and you fought with somebody, no matter how much space and time you've taken from that person, you have to address what's going on and what happened with you guys to make you have to have that space. So they addressed it, and it's time to fight, and I'm here for it. So yeah, I'm really excited. So match number 3 was BK Rhythm versus Sasha Sparks. And of course, Sasha came out with Pep Riley, and BK Rhythm came out with Gigi Gianni and Little J Boogie. This is really our first time seeing Team Spirit in action. Since Ariel Sky made the move that she did with Top Tier and Coach Campanelli. So of course BK got in the ring and rapped a diss track towards Sasha Sparks, which I know that Katrina is gonna hate, but BK started the match by saying, "I'm the best ever, you're the best never. I'm hot like the sun and you can't handle the weather. I'm gonna knock those pom poms out of your palms any day. I'm the quarterback of the Brat Pack and I'm winning today." So those are BK's bars for this episode. So this match was very athletic between the two. Sasha definitely, gave it her all within this match. They were trading arm bars with each other. They seemed to match up pretty well in this match, even though, of course, Sasha has more of the cheerleading background and stuff like that. And BK Rhythm is more of a ground and pound type of wrestler. Sasha is definitely like a hybrid between the two. And it was really cool to see, both of those abilities on display. But sadly, Sasha Sparks wouldn't win the match due to Gigi Gianni distracting her on the apron, and then BK hit her with her mic drop finisher, and BK Rhythm wound up winning the match. So Sasha was still impressive here with her head scissors and her arm drags, and a lot of her agility here, like I said, matching up with BK Rhythm's ground and pound. But BK wound up winning because she just had more people in her corner when it comes to the Brat Pack. And Pep Riley really didn't get involved that much on the same level of which the Brat Pack was, which I think is another issue that I've discussed beforehand with other teams. But we're going to let that go for now because Team Spirit's going through a lot. So, Katrina, how did you feel about this match and the performance of BK Rhythm and Sasha Sparks? And, of course, how you felt about the bars?
I did not again like BK's bars. Every time she drops a bar, I'm just like, girl, every time. And then one time they're like, maybe she'll give me one. And I'm like, all right, I'll give you a pass to this one. But nope, every time it's just like, girl, stop rapping. With that being said, I did enjoy the match. I do think that, they did well in regards to, yes, like Sasha, it's like I know it had to be a mix of like a slap in the face. Like it's like your person who seemed like she might have been your friend kind of basically threw you under the bus to get back to somebody who didn't really treat her the best. And then now you have to deal with a fight where you have people that can get themselves involved in matches and you don't have anybody kind of getting themselves involved for you. And that always works out usually pretty poorly. And so, it was a good match, but I did feel bad in the respect that, maybe somebody should have came help her. Again, Ariel Sky kind of went in like, well, I'm gonna try to get back with Coach unless this is some elaborate ruse to surprise all of us, and it's something they're doing underhandedly to gain the trust again. It's basically like being thrown under the bus and still trying to hold on and go through. Well, where do you think you should go through it? And so it was good, but it was like, oh, well, it's unfortunate. I feel like in this regard, BK has more of the experience and it showed in this matchup. So I wasn't surprised with the win necessarily. It's more so just like, it's like, oh man, you made me hope because she already lost the person who's supposed to be leading this team again, unless it's some kind of elaborate ruse. But it was a good match.
Yeah, it was a good match, but Team Spirit has just been on the struggle bus, and you can kind of understand why. They don't have leadership right now. They lost another member in Ariel Sky. They are just not in the same level of focus as they once were, and it's just having to bounce back from being humiliated in such a huge and public way by someone who they once considered a leader and someone that they looked up to. And you really hate to see it, but they're still trying to find their footing after all of that. And I commend Sasha Sparks and even Pep Riley for even fighting through and still trying to keep the spirit of Team Spirit alive. I did not mean to make that pun. But they're still trying to, make it happen for themselves, and I can appreciate that. But the Brat Pack, they definitely are sticking together and having each other's back in that way. So when you have that going on, you can't really fight, past that. So yeah, BK wound up getting the victory there. So before we go to our main event, David McLane, of course, the co-founder of, well, the founder of WoW, had an interview with Jessie Jones to get some answers as to why she interfered with Americana's championship match against Abilene Maverick last week. Well, in the last episode. So, um, as he interviewed her, she told David McLane the funniest thing that I just had to write down. She told him your cornbread might not be all the way cooked in the middle, David. And I said, I ain't never heard that before. Um, I've lived in the South my whole life and I ain't never heard that before, but I love it. And she basically told him, like, look, me and Americana have our issues, and it's not my fault that she was a klutz and couldn't finish the job in the match and couldn't get back in the ring. And she basically just placed all the blame on Americana, like she ain't do nothing. And it was just really crazy. But David McLane said that, of course, Americana and Santana Garrett told him that they want a tag team match against Jessie Jones and a partner of her choosing. And of course, Jessie Jones brought up something that she is still very much angry about, which was David McLane stripping her and Abilene, well, not Abilene, her and Amber O'Neal from those tag team champions and leaving them vacated for that tournament that took place in the very first season of WoW Superheroes. And she brought that up and said, fine, just like in that tournament, I'll pick my own partner and then we'll beat them up. And that's what we have there. So it's looking like we're having more tag team shenanigans with the All American girls and Jessie and a partner of her choosing. But the thing I find funny about this is, where is Amber O'Neal? Like, where does she go? Like, did she just disappear and just decide not to be a part of the things anymore? Like, what's going on? So, Katrina, how did you feel about this announcement and this interview that Jessie Jones had with David?
Jessie was doing pure shenanigans. The whole like she acted like she didn't know, like, oh, she just couldn't get herself back in. Like you were the reason she couldn't get herself back in. To an extent, the whole cornbread thing, I was like, all right, everybody knows that if the middle is not cooked, it's not cooked. And so, I mean, well, if you can cook, you know that if the middle isn't the way it's supposed to be and it's yucky and mushy or whatever, then you don't know what you're doing. And so it's such a weird way to say that, but I was like, all right, I kind of got it in reference to like, that means you're not really cooking too well if you can't get that right. And so I did semi like that pun or that joke, I guess. With that being said, though, she was blatantly BSing, like acting like she wasn't involved. I did wonder, however, what happened to Amber, because after all of that, to have her help, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh yeah, well no, she's not here. I gotta find a new tag partner. It's Is it like she's gonna swerve us and it's going to be Amber and she's just saying it, or it's really somebody else? But then that would leave the question, well, what happened that she's not here? You know, what happened that she's not tagging with you? Then you even have to pick a partner. Why isn't your partner already there? And so I am now curious to find out how this is going to play out, especially find out if we hear any more what happened to Miss Amber O'Neal.
Yeah, I'm very curious too. She might pull a swerve. I thought about that. Oh, I thought about that today. I was like, she really could pull a swerve and it winds up being, Amber O'Neal, but then it might be somebody else. You just never really know with Jessie Jones. She's just a very cagey person. So you just never know who it might be. But, either way, I feel like Americana and Santana Garrett still has her number because they did defeat her before in tag team action. So I can't wait to see, what that's going to entail. What if Jessie Jones, I just thought about something. What if Jessie Jones actually commissions Abilene Maverick to be her tag team champion? I mean, not champion, but her partner. That would be funny. Like, I wonder how well they would even work together. And I know that irritates you, Kat, but still, it would be hysterical if that happened. But moving on, we did move on into the main event, which was Miami Sweet Heat getting their tag team title opportunity against the Mother Truckers, the Wild Tag Team Champions. And of course, all of the Fab Four came out with them. So this had me afraid throughout the whole thing because I was just like, oh my God, they're going to try and get shenanigans up in here. I was so upset. I was just like, please do not let the Mother Truckers lose this way. But the match went on, and it was very, neck and neck between the both of them. It was still really good because here again, these are two of the best tag teams in the Wild Tag Team roster. So they definitely gave you what you were, used to seeing from both teams. The Carlson twins using their twin telepathy to work and try to break down and isolate Holly from Big Rig Betty, but of course they were coming in with all of the fight in order to keep their titles. But something funny happened that I really can't wait to get into. And as it looked as if Lori and Lindsay were possibly about to either win or lose the match, or I guess lose the match, Vicky Lynn McCoy and Penelope Pink interfered in the match on behalf of Miami Sweet Heat, but wound up knocking the Carlson twins down and getting them and basically getting them disqualified, which keeps the Mother Truckers Wild Tag Team title reign intact. And I thought that was an interesting way to end the show. I was just like, huh, it's interesting how they have been interfering all this time, and they're usually more concise and clear when it comes to the people that they're attacking on behalf of their team. But because they got caught this time trying to do it, the Carlson sisters wound up getting disqualified. That's interesting. Very interesting stuff. And so the Mother Truckers are still your Wild Tag Team champions. Could there be trouble in paradise for the Fab Four? I don't know. But Katrina, how did you feel about this tag team match and the way that it ended?
I do think this was a good match. I do think Miami Sweet Heat in general was moving well, like they usually do as a group, as a unit, as sisters. I think that they definitely did have the twin thing down with regards to, okay, how we're going to do this in this moment, or they was like different things that were made specifically for that. With that being said, I was slightly surprised with them interfering and not panning out. Not that I wanted Miami Sweet Heat to win, because I definitely did not. It's more so like normally you guys can, even if one might be off, kill both of you to kind of mess that up. Both of you to not be on your game, both of you to not be like as like one or two, multiple of you would probably try to interfere to make a match go a certain way if you thought of their help. But in this regard, I feel like it was very strange that both of them were not on their game on this to make sure that Miami Sweet Heat would have gotten the title. And then I am now curious, will they feel away about the fact that they're the reason they got disqualified? I was also very surprised in general that David seems to never really have them do any consequence for any nonsense anyway. And so the fact that this was like a disqualification, I was like, well, about time somebody watching, or somebody's paying attention to the shenanigans that goes on with this group. And so I'm okay with Mother Truckers, being champions, but I do feel like either they're going to get a rematch and it might go a very different way, or it's going to cause some issues between them and Penelope and Vicky. And like, what if they're just jealous they don't have a belt, right now either? What if they feel like Miami Sweet Heat has had more opportunities than they have had to become a champion without all these options? There could be so many ways this can pull off, but I do think the match itself was pretty solid. But I am also curious, like, you find out what you guys did, the girlies. Y'all wasn't girling where you normally girl, and this situation with making sure you guys can at least get off what you're trying to get. And so I am curious to see how this is going to play out definitely in the next few weeks.
I feel like that's an amazing choice of words. The girlies were not girling like they usually girl, and I like that. But you're right, they weren't. And there could be some jealousy there because, Lana Star seemed at first to be very, adamant about all of them getting their gold back, right? But it seems like, every other week you saw Miami Sweet Heat trying to get back in the tag title picture so much so, like ad nauseum, to the point to where it was getting on our nerves, right? But you're not seeing Penelope Pink, address Abilene Maverick in the same way, or even Vicky Lynn McCoy, putting her hat in the ring when it comes to that singles title, or even either one of them going after the trios title at this point. So you do have a good point about that. Like it seems to be all about Miami Sweet Heat, and for all we know, it could be, you know, a realm of like a level of jealousy there, you know, for attention in Fab Four. But then it could have also been a happy accident, and they, you know, might not have meant to cost them because they're usually so meticulous about stuff like that before. Like they have been, you know, very clear and concise when it comes to interfering in matches on on their people's behalf so many times before. So it's just really interesting, and I kind of just can't wait to see, you know, how it's going to play out. But it's so funny because it's like when WoW, or at least this iteration of WoW first started, the Fab Four were just so locked in with each other. You know, they were very locked in. And so the idea of them falling apart would just be weird. It would be very weird for me. Like, how do we live in a world where the Fab Four don't exist? Like, or possibly doesn't exist anymore? Like, that would be scary to me, low key. But yeah, they might need to figure some stuff out. But that's how, you know, that episode of WoW ended. Of course, thank all of you guys so much for watching this double dose of Steph and Cat Talk WoW with us on this Saturday evening. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here with us, and that's great. Thank all 40 to 35 of you for watching with us tonight. While there's so many other things in wrestling going on, thank you guys so much for supporting us. Of course, if you love the action of WoW Superheroes, follow them on social media at WoW Superheroes. Go on their website on wowe.com and check out where it comes on for you on television, or just check it out online on Pluto, Hulu, and YouTube. I can't talk. Um, or, you know, watch it on YouTube the Monday after, because they post all the matches on there, and then they post the full episodes as well on their YouTube channel too. And also go on prowrestlingtees.com because they have new merchandise on their website. So please, you know, check that out and rock the merch of your favorite WoW superhero. Please support them in that way. And just continue to watch our show and subscribe to us, you know, subscribe to the Hardy Wrestling Podcast and subscribe to In Cat We Trust, so you'll never miss an episode that we do of Steph and Cat Talk WoW. And on a personal note, thank you guys so much for supporting me this week. It's been pretty hard with bullying from people, from just me sharing my opinion in a way. But the amount of people who came to my defense, Katrina being one of them, my boyfriend being another, and a whole other litany of other people, was just great. And it just lets me know just how appreciated and loved I am in this space. So thank you guys so much on a personal note. And I'm just going to keep on trucking because wrestling is going on. And because wrestling is always going on, I'm going to always go on. But I'm able to go on because I have a community of people who love me. And I'm just really grateful for that. So thank you guys. So, Katrina, tell everybody where they can find to follow you and what you've got going on.
Just quickly adding to that, always. As I've said, you're probably one of the most sweetest people in the space, which is probably, I was a bit late to seeing it. I always seem to catch the stuff afterwards. Every time was always the next day. I'm like, wait, what happened? But when I did see it, I definitely went to the guy's page just because I don't really do well with nonsense. I don't do well with bullies, but I really don't do well with bullies with somebody like you. And as I've said to a few people, I feel like this week, just you're somebody who brings a lot of light to the space that can be really yucky sometimes. Like you're wrestling fan, no, yeah, wrestling. You guys are doing too much and Twitch negativity sometimes. And so you definitely bring a light to the space. And so, you know, F that guy. That's a nice way of saying what I really wanted to say. But yes, as far as me, I can be found and follow on Cat We Trust. The E is a 3 on every place but Facebook and YouTube. Just follow the channel. I'm trying, it's like I said, it's been really weird couple of weeks on both many levels, and I'm kind of just bouncing semi between things. But just keep track of, you know, my social media on my YouTube. I am going to be posting a lot of the clips or interviews from the show I did yesterday, and I got some really fun ones, and I got some where I definitely got yelled at a bit. in gimmick. And those are always it's always kind of like, oh man, I got yelled at or whatever. Like not in like a bad way, but in a way that this person I know is, and so that's been really fun. So definitely just keep track of my pages, and you can see all that good stuff and more.
Absolutely. She interviews down, and it's funny, her watching her keep her composure as all the wrestlers are just in their passion bag. It's just so fun. But she does a really great job. So please check out all of her content. It's really great. So of course, you can find and follow me, your girl Stephanie Hardy, on Instagram and on X/Twitter at Queen Steph Hardy. Listen to the Hardy Wrestling Podcast everywhere you get your podcast. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, which is called The Hardy Wrestling Podcast, with the logo in the top corner right here. And subscribe so you won't miss anything that I might post or any episodes I might do. Of course, you can find all of the episodes for Steph and Cat Talk Wow in the playlist, and all of our interviews in that same playlist. So please check those out as well. And check out all of my writings for Daily DDT. I am consistently working on more writings and everything. I'm working on a new article right now, but then please read my most recent article called Wrestle Melanin, the blackest WrestleMania ever. Please read that. It was fun writing that after experiencing everything in Philadelphia a few weeks ago. So please read that article and just book your girl for color commentary. I am open to bookings this year, so please book your girl, book your girl, book your girl. So thank you guys so much for supporting Steph and Cat Talk Wow, as we cover women's wrestling of all promotions, and support it throughout all promotions, but definitely specifically for WoW superheroes. And to close this out, I'm just gonna quote Trey D by saying, "If I love wrestling and you love wrestling, then we love wrestling." Have a good night, y'all. Bye.